I'm live. All right, welcome. We're just going to assume that y'all can hear me. I am back. It has been a couple of weeks since I've been able to do this. Just as a reminder, I try to do these on Tuesdays at noon, but sometimes that doesn't happen. I was out of town the last 2 weeks. So here we are. And I am going to be answering questions that have been submitted ahead of time at askdanakWhite.com. Probably do that for the first 30 minutes. And then after that, I will take questions from those of you who are watching. So if you're watching and you asked a question before I get to reader questions or whatever, you might want to ask it again. Maybe don't like ask it over and over, but kind of about halfway through, so probably around 12:30 Central, whatever time you're in, I don't know. But about half past the hour, that's when I will probably start taking questions from those of you watching live. So at that point, it might be worth it to re-ask, just so I can make sure that I hear it. All right. Like I said, you can go and ask questions for future ones at askdanakWhite.com, or if you're watching this in the future, which I love, that's always great, then that would be great. I'm going to make sure you can hear me. No one is saying that you can't hear me. I'm going to assume that you can. All right. So here we go. I will be at, let's see, I'll be reading the full question that was asked, but I will only be putting up a little blurb or like an edited version of that. So this question's fun. So any chance you will partner up with Ms. Gardenia again for another SLP classroom cleanup? Hands down my favorite episode. Thanks for considering. Thank you for saying that you like that one. That was before we got mics for the thing, so it was a little bit difficult because like the sound of the trash bag was just as loud as the sound of our voices, and that made it, it was interesting, but it was a learning experience. And y'all know, nobody expects perfection when they see my videos anyway, right? So, but yeah, I'll ask her if she wants to do that again. She's a personal friend of mine, so let's see if I can get to her. But yeah, for those of you who are just kind of every once in a while watching something, you might want to know that I do have videos called 1 Hour Better that I did several of last year. I'm hoping to do some more in the future. But those are ones where I went and helped someone declutter, went through the process in their space of, using the 5-step process to get the clutter out. So anyway, just search 1 Hour Better in there. Okay, next question is, see, it's a lot longer in real life. Okay, I need to get rid of stuff. I am not to my clutter threshold. I have piles. Okay, so those of you, I'm just going to stop real quick. Those of you who are like, what's a clutter threshold? Your clutter threshold is the amount of stuff that you personally can easily keep under control. Okay, so it is not what you prefer to see. It is not your aesthetic. It is literally how much can you keep under control? Meaning, if your house is consistently getting out of control, you have more stuff than you can handle. Okay. And that is being over your clutter threshold. So anyway, that's just what she's referring to. I am not to my clutter threshold. I have piles and I know how to deal with those. But in most, I know to deal with those, but in most rooms, there are places for things and I know where to put things away, but there are just too many things. I feel like I can walk into a room and just stare and I can't see things because everything is generally in its place. I look around and I don't know what to get rid of. Simply, I don't know if my inner monologue should change from telling myself the reasons for things because they're already where I would look for them first. I'm not saying I'm perfect and have everything in its place, but I do know, but I don't, okay, here's the crux of it, but I don't know how to declutter when it's not a huge mess or pile or all in a box to go through. I feel like I can't see my stuff and I'm so tired of walking into a room to get rid of things and I literally just stand and stare. I know that sounds weird, but I hope you understand, Dana. I completely understand. Like, I so completely understand what you're talking about. This is really what I divined. What is the word? Y'all, I'm going to get another one of those ads on my phone for, can't remember a word. Here's what that might mean. Anyway, okay, this is why I developed my process. in case you're new here, I did not develop my process because I said, you know what? The world doesn't know how to declutter. And so I'm going to figure out how to declutter and tell them how to declutter. I figured out my process because I was completely overwhelmed in my house, each room of my house. This walking into a room and literally just staring and not knowing what to get rid of, that was me. Okay. It wasn't working for me. Okay. My house was not as organized as this question asker, but this literally was me. I would look, I would stand, I would stare, I would think, I can't do this, and I would walk away. That didn't serve me well because my house just kept getting messier and messier and messier, right? So my 5-step process is not theory. Okay. It is actual, the way that I broke through exactly what she's describing here. Okay. So this feeling of being overwhelmed, the way you break through that is to follow the process. All right. So go with step 1. Step 1 is trash. Step 1 is trash because there is literally nothing to decide, nothing to think through. Okay. She's asking about, I don't know, should I change my inner monologue? Don't worry about that until you have looked for trash. Now, the reaction is like, well, but things have places, blah, 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 those things. Look for trash anyway. Like if you're like, well, but I'm not like that, right? Like there's no way I have trash. Look for trash anyway. Even if you're convinced you don't, even if you actually have no trash, still look for trash anyway. Why do we do that? First of all, it gives me something to do other than standing there and feeling overwhelmed, right? It helps me start to look at individual items within this space instead of looking at the overall mass and thinking, what am I going to get rid of? I'm not thinking what I'm going to get rid of. I'm thinking, what's trash? Is there trash? Okay. I'm identifying trash. I am not analyzing, deciding. I am identifying trash. Okay. So that's the least overwhelming thing I can do that gets me started and helps me start to see individual items instead of just this mass of decisions that are going to have to be made someday. Okay. So follow that. And then the next one is easy stuff. Easy stuff is anything that has an established home somewhere else in my house. It's just not there for whatever reason. I'm not going to analyze what the reason is. I'm just going to go ahead and take it there. And here's where I really think this is important here. Okay. Because at the beginning of the actual question, not what y'all are seeing there, the summary, but the beginning of the actual question, it said, I have piles and I know to deal with those. That's procrastinator. Procrastinator is the piles of stuff that I know I have to do that. Okay. But right now I'm decluttering and I've got to do the important stuff because this is decluttering time. This is not put away laundry time. This is not deal with all this stuff time. This is not, go put those things back that I've been meaning to put back forever time. And yet that's procrastinator. And when you look at the space, if you don't deal with that and you do actually get decluttering done, your space is still not going to look that much better. And you're going to feel defeated. Like, what was the point of doing all this? My space still looks really messy. Well, it's because the procrastinator is still there. Okay. So the room is not going to be visually improved because I haven't dealt with the procrastinator yet. But also, it's an action I can take and it makes immediate, visible progress. Okay. Visible progress happens immediately as I start to deal with these piles. And it's non-emotional and it's non-decision making because you said, I have these piles. I know what to do with those. Okay. I know to deal with those. Go ahead and deal with those now because it starts to change your room. It gets you moving. So you're not just standing there. And then you're starting to really understand what you're dealing with here. If the issue too, and I think maybe this is what is being said here too, is, but in most rooms, there are places for things, but there are just too many things. Okay. remember that space for space thing. So because the other thing too is sometimes we can look at it and work in our brain how this is going to play out. And so we think we know, well, there's places for all of that stuff. But you also said there's too much stuff, which means that maybe in your mind there's a place for that thing, but in reality, there is a chance that there's not actually a place for that thing. Okay, because you said there was too much stuff. So taking that action of saying, these are the easy things. I know exactly where these things are supposed to go. Okay, they're procrastinator. They're not real clutter, but I'm going to just deal with these things because Dana said to, and I'm trying to break through this feeling of overwhelm. And that's her specialty, is breaking through the feeling of overwhelm, right? So I'm going to take those things item by item because they're easy. I don't even have to make a decision. I'm going to go take them to their already established home. And then I'm going to deal with the reality of that space when I get there. So let's say I get there and that space is too full. Then I'm going to one in, one out. And I'm going to say, well, this is where this goes. And in my brain, there was room for it. And in reality, there's stuff in the way. Okay, I have to make space for that. And I just start making one in, one out of, I was going to go put the scissors away, but that drawer is super full. So what can I remove from this drawer because the drawer is super full and something has to go? What can I remove that deserves to be here less than the scissors deserve to be here? Okay, so that process, I'm just telling you the process works, and the process is designed to help you break through overwhelm because it's how I break through that feeling of overwhelm. Okay, I know the feeling that you're talking about, standing in a room and thinking, what in the world? I cannot do this. That's why if I just look at a space and say, okay, what in here can go? My brain goes, I don't know. Ah! So instead, even though I write the books, y'all, and teach people how to declutter and blah, 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 I follow the process. I do. I know how to do this. I know the power of it. I know how much easier life is without as much stuff in my house. I know that I can only, I have a clutter threshold and I can only handle so much. And yet I follow the process. All right. I look at the space and I go, trash. That's all I have to do. Just trash. And if all I do is trash, this space will be better. And that's great. And I deal with the trash. And then I go, okay, what is easy? What already has an established home? Really don't want to waste my time dealing with that right now, but guess what? That's what I can do. Okay. All right. Here we go. So yeah, follow the process is basically the short answer of what I said. And what I've gone through in the last couple of minutes here is how to follow the process and why the process works. Okay. But remember, it's that take it to its space, acknowledge the reality of that space. The more that you do that, the more that you realize, oh, okay, this space is easier to manage with less stuff in it, which then inspires me to say, you know what? If this space is consistently driving me bonkers or, getting on my nerves or getting into disarray, I'm like, I just need to have less stuff in that space. Okay. So it's not that I am deciding what deserves to stay and what deserves to go. I am saying, what's my least favorite? It's still a favorite, right? It's still a favorite in this space. I wish I could keep it all. And so for me to just say, do I like it? Do I want it? Could I ever use it? I can't use those questions. I don't use any of that kind of thought process. Instead, I say, this space is too full. I can't handle it. It's over my clutter threshold. So out of these things that I love, every single one of them, which ones do I love the least? And that's what needs to go. Okay. All right. Read the books though, because really, or listen to the podcast or whatever, listen to all these things and it'll really start to sink in, but it's basically the process, applying the process, which then really is what changes your house. Okay. Oh, this was the whole question. What do I do with sentimental items like stuffed? Do I have something on my shirt? Ugh, gross. Sorry, y'all. I'm in a barn thing basically. And because I've been on vacation, all this pollen or something was on the barn. It's like a barn door, garage door thing I have to open up, and it all got on me and I thought I got it all off. Anyway, randomness from Dana. Okay. What do I do with sentimental items like stuffed animals? Well, I'm going to tell you the decluttering answer first, because that's the main thing, is give it a designated space in your home that you can afford to designate for these sentimental items. Okay, let's talk about stuffed animals. So I don't know how old this person is. I don't know if they are 4, probably not 4, right? Because it's a pretty well-written question for a 4-year-old. 4-year-olds know how to type now, probably. Anyway, I don't know if they're 4 or 14 or 44 or 84 or 104. I have no idea, okay? But it's still the same process. So it's, what space do you have in your home to devote to stuffed animals that does not take up the space that you need for other things? So if you're 4, stuffed animals are everything, right? Okay. So it might be that, you know, it's an entire shelf or an entire tub or something. If you are 44 and you have, you know, 6 other people living in your home, and they all have the things that they need to live their life. Maybe there's a 4-year-old, whatever, who doesn't want your stuffed animals. I don't know. But, you know, all these different people in your home need space to do the things that they need to be able to do. Then that's going to be a different amount of space that you have to devote to stuffed animals, right? To your stuffed animals that you're keeping because they're sentimental. So it's like, what space do you have that does not take away from what you actually need for your right now life with the people living in your home? Because that's what gets priority. Okay. For a lot of people, you do have a space that you can devote to that. I'm going to devote this shelf. I'm going to devote this, whatever, you know, space that I have, this closet shelf or this tub or something. That's what I do. And then you say, okay, this is the space that I can devote to stuffed animals, which don't have a major purpose, but they really have a lot of sentimental value. And it's not making it harder to live my real right now life. Okay. Then you put your favorite ones in first, or if they're already there, you pull out your least favorites until they easily fit into that space. Okay. Now, but then there's also this other aspect to this simple question, right? Of what do I do with sentimental items like stuffed animals? I'm a big believer in giving it a real spot in your house, okay? As opposed to just storing it for the sake of storing it. Now, if I store something, I try to think of it as I am storing it because I know it's going to be used at a certain point, you know, like Christmas decorations, or honestly, I store some of my teaching materials, even though I don't teach anymore, except for y'all in decluttering. But, you know, I don't teach theater anymore, but I have a small box of teaching materials because it's like, well, yeah, if I teach theater again, I want to have all my, you know, little things right there. But that, you know, so in my mind, I'm like, I'm storing something because I know I'm going to need it, or I might need it in the future. But then you get into stuff like stuffed animals where you're like, well, am I going to need it in the future? Like, you know, or am I just storing it because I can't get rid of it? Either way, you know, if you have the space to devote to it, it's your decision. You do what you need to do. But I like to think of it as, okay, if this is important enough for me to keep it, you know, I determine that according to asking myself the same decluttering questions that I ask for every single thing. And I say, okay, if I, you know, say I'm going through some stuff that I've had stored forever and it's in this box, and I find this big box of stuffed animals, you know, not outside the realm of possibility for me, but I find this big box full of stuffed animals. So I ask myself the same decluttering question, the same first decluttering question that I ask about anything in my home. If I needed a stuffed skunk from 1978, where would I look for it first? Not that I would have a stuffed skunk, because my mother was the type who was like, why would anyone want a stuffed skunk? I think I'm saying this because I have this memory of wanting a stuffed skunk, because probably my friend had one, but whatever. My mom was, you know, she doesn't think skunks can possibly be cute because, you know, they're skunks. Anyway, I think they can be adorable. So if I'm opening this box, that's still the question I'm going to ask. If I was looking for a stuffed skunk from 1978, where would I look for it first? Okay. And I go with the first place that I would look for it in my home. And then I take it to that space. And then I determine whether or not there's room for it there, and if I'm willing to get rid of something else in order to make the room for it. Okay. So it's that same process. But a lot of times what happens is my answer to where would I look for a stuffed skunk from 1978 is, which means I need to go to my second decluttering question, which is, if I needed a stuffed skunk from 1978, would it already occur to me that I had a stuffed skunk from 1970? I'm talking about a stuffed animal. I'm not talking about an actual stuffed skunk, right? We all know that, right? Okay. Anyway, but that's where I ask that second decluttering question. And if that question, and that's usually what helps me get rid of it, because it helps me logically, yes and no, no emotions involved, realistically think through, is this something I'm ever going to look for or not? So it's not a question of, do I like it? Do I love it? Is it sentimental? It's, will it ever occur to me to go looking for this stuffed skunk from 1978 that I never had? Poor me. Okay. All right. So here we go. Does that make sense? But anyway, but as far as give it a spot. Give it a spot according to where you would look for it first. And a lot of times the sentimental stuff, that's a display thing, right? It is perfectly fine. If you have a place to display your 3 favorite stuffed animals, just know that it's a limited, defined space. So you can't keep them all, but you can keep your favorites, which generally bring about all the good feelings that you have about childhood stuffed animals. But if you try to keep them all and then you're tripping over boxes of stuffed animals from 1978, then you have negative feelings, right? And that's not what sentimental stuff is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about good feelings. And if it's making life harder to live, it's bad feelings. Okay. So, all right. Whew, I have blathered. Okay. This might be all of the question, but let me make sure. Let me go read. I like the idea of donating things in a donatable donate box, but I am finding I rarely have boxes on hand to do that with. And then the items I am donating sit in piles to donate while I try to figure out what to put it in. And then those items often get scattered again. Do you have any suggestions? Yes, absolutely. Excuse me. Ooh. A donate box does not have to be a box. Okay. A lot of people have lots of boxes. Boxes are actually a problem these days with a lot of the online ordering, right? But it doesn't have to be a box. It can be a grocery sack. Maybe next time you get your groceries, go ahead and take the sacks that they have. It can be, it can be anything. It can be anything that other stuff can go inside of. It can be a suitcase that you're donating to. It can be any kind of a bag. It can be a trash bag. Just label it or something so that you don't accidentally, throw it all away if you were meaning to donate it. But yeah, you're right. It is not a good idea to just leave it in piles, because we all know that piles then spread and collect. And then you're like, wait, was that a pile of donations, or was that a pile that started out as donations and then other people just kind of set things on top of it or whatever? So, but yeah, it can be anything. Don't let that trip you up. It's just something that stuff can go in that is donatable, whatever that means. All right. Here's a fun question. Here we go. We have very generous friends who are constantly giving us nice things, from toys to junk food to gift cards, but they are things we don't need or want, and they clutter up our already small house. I am constantly moving the clutter out of my house. How do you cultivate a grateful attitude when you know the gift is really a drain on your time and emotional decluttering energy? Appreciate you. Okay. Thank you. Here's what I'll say on this. They are decluttering. Okay. If they're giving you toys, maybe extra food that they got at Costco or whatever, and they realize they don't need it, they have a generous heart. They are not wanting this to be a burden on you. They are decluttering. And so therefore they probably understand decluttering. Okay. And so for you to say, I don't have the space, or, I mean, you can so graciously say no. You can easily say, This is so sweet of you. Oh my goodness. Oh, those are adorable. Don't let my kids see them because we've actually got more toys than we can fit in our space. Or I'm realizing that we have too many toys anyway. You know, I always like to put it on me and be like, oh, I've realized I just can't handle as much stuff as I used to think I could handle. And so, you know, that because I had trained people to give me their stuff because I thought it was all great and I kept bringing it in. And then I didn't realize, oh, I can't handle all this stuff. I don't have the room for all this stuff. But anyway, just graciously say no and they'll understand. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Most likely they have other people they give stuff to as well. And the reason there is a friend of ours that used to work for my husband, and she's lovely. And when she first retired, she would bring us like bread and cinnamon rolls and all this kind of stuff. And I'll take it. Like, I'll still take it if she want to do that some more. I mean, it was like, oh my word, we are the like most blessed people on the planet, right? Because somebody delivers hot, fresh bread and hot, fresh cinnamon rolls to your house. It's the best. Anyway, but the reason I bring this up is that later, like my husband talked to somebody else that, you know, had also worked with them. And it turned out that she took bread and cinnamon rolls to lots of different people, right? Like we were not the only ones. And I just had always assumed that we were the recipients of her, you know, desire to cook, to bake bread and stuff. And so it was like, what I'm saying is most likely there are other people who also they are just as generous with, right? And there are most likely other people who have said to them, I can't, you know, this is so sweet of you, but I don't have time to, you know, I've got a lot of busy stuff going on right now, and I don't have time to go through the playroom and declutter so that we would have room for this. All these things that we talk about here in our decluttering language, you know, with me, are kind of things that a lot of organized people know innately. Like they know they can't just keep adding stuff to their house and it's standard control. They know, you know, so it's like even just kind of blaming yourself and just saying, hey, I have got so much going on right now. I don't have time to declutter and get rid of things. And so we just won't have any room for this right now. I think it'd be better, you know, so just graciously, but always saying thank you because they are being so generous and you want to do that. But I think it's one of those times where it is okay to say no. Okay. It is, let's see, I think I have time for one more. There we go. Okay. How do I get started with a 5-minute tidy? I can declutter, but when it comes to the tidying, I find I have a mental roadblock. Do I just think of it as cleaning or picking things up? Picking things up. You can think about however you want to think of it. Picking things up. It is literally the 5-minute, and I don't call it a tidy. I just call it a 5-minute pickup. That's literally what I call it. 5-minute pickup. I've always felt like the word tidy has so many, probably what's going on here, right? Has so many different, what does that mean? Does that mean organizing? Does that mean this? So anyway, that's just not a word that I use very often. So yeah, it's the 5-minute pickup, and just say, I am going to set the timer and I'm going to pick things up and put them in their actual home, not aside to deal with after the 5 minutes, not putting in piles. And then at the end of the 5 minutes, I'm going to go put those things away. No, I mean, literally, what can I do completely, small step by small step, done all the way in 5 minutes. And then at the end of 5 minutes, I'm done. Right? Like, I mean, if you want to keep going, you can, but I don't trick myself. I don't set a 5-minute timer thinking, well, if I can get started, maybe I'll go 30 minutes. No, I literally mean 5 minutes. So it's just like, don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. Just say, I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes and I'm going to pick things up and I'm going to take them all the way completely to either their established home or to the place where I would look for it first. And you know, in my brain, I will think things like, you know, I used to think, now I know the power of the 5-minute pickup. But when I first started, in my mind, if I would have let myself think through how is this gonna work, which is always a bad thing for me, I would probably have thought, well, let's see, in 5 minutes, if I'm really taking things all the way to their home, then that thing right there, well, it goes upstairs. Not that I had upstairs when I started this, but you know, that thing right there goes all the way upstairs. Oh my goodness. Well, that's going to take 7 minutes. And so and instead I just say, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to see, and it's going to be better than nothing. Right. So I'm going to do 5 minutes. And generally I would take that thing all the way to where it went that I thought was going to take 7 minutes. And then I'd be like, how's the timer not gone off yet? Huh. Okay. Because I'd only spent 90 seconds. That's why, you know, and so it's amazing how much you can get done in 5 minutes. So I am going to answer one more just because then that puts me at the right place that I already have marked in my spreadsheet. Okay. One last one, and then I will take questions from you who are watching live. Question about decluttering clothes. Due to some health issues that will take about 1 year to be totally fixed, I gained over 40 pounds in the last year and a half. So my wardrobe and my entire bedroom holds clothes in size 8 to 16. How can I manage that? If I ask the question, would I wear this item if it fits? The answer is, why is my thing? I haven't heard it. The answer, oh my goodness. Sorry, y'all. If I ask the question, would I wear this item if it fits? The answer is yes. And yes, I know what I have, and it will occur to me if I let it go. And the place where I'll look for this item is in my bedroom, but the room is a mess and the piles are a burden. Money is tight, so no chance to let it go now and replace with an identical item later. Do you have any tips for me? Okay, so yes, here's where the first thing I want to say, okay, is couple of things here. We're going to ask the same questions as we would for anything else. I think it can feel like if a situation feels so completely overwhelming, so completely frustrating and hopeless, because there are a lot of emotions here, right? Like this is a truly difficult situation. Okay. You are in the middle of a health issue or crisis. I'm not sure all the details, but there is a lot here. So you legitimately have all these feelings. All those feelings in a legitimately difficult situation make it seem like the simple process won't work. I believe, in my experience with myself and with working with other people, that it actually makes it that much more important for me to follow this simple process. Okay. The simple process is not, because you said, if I ask the question, would I wear this item if it fits? The answer is yes. Actually, you said a word I don't say on my channel, but anyway. But like, if I ask myself that, so don't ask yourself that. That's not one of my questions. Okay. And y'all know, I mean, you can go listen to all kinds of people talk about decluttering. A lot of people are like, oh, what about this? Or what about this? I drill down on the process that works. That is what I do. So I don't ask questions like, would I wear this item if it fit? That's not part of my process because I, like you, am going to let my brain spin out on that. Well, yes, I would, but I don't have the room. But but what about this? But what about, instead, I go with where would I look for it first? Okay, I would look for it in the closet. The other thing here too is you said I would look for it in my bedroom, but then you said there were clothes everywhere. Would you really look for it in your bedroom or would you look for it in the drawer or the closet? Okay. And you did mention that you're in Germany, so I'm not for sure the closet situation there. I know there's different closet plate, but where would you look within the bedroom? Because the bedroom is too broad of a defined space. It's not a defined space. It's just the bedroom, but you also are sleeping in the bedroom and you might be getting ready in the bedroom and all those kinds of things. So it's like, where in the bedroom do you have to devote to clothing? And then you do the, where would I look for this first? And I go the size, and I'm going to say closet, whatever your situation is in Germany. I don't know, but I'm going to say closet just for the sake of it. But the size of my closet, the space that I have for clothing, where it's not just spread out all over the bedroom, making it harder to, live in my bedroom. Instead, the space that I have is the space that I have. Okay. That changes everything. And it's frustrating. And the money is going to be difficult. So I'm not saying you can't keep things for a size that you are not right now. I'm saying that the space that you have for clothing is the space that you have for clothing. And if you let it go outside of that space into the bedroom as a whole, that's where you get into this incredibly frustrated state of, I can't live in my house and I need to ask this lady on the internet. Do you know what I mean? Like that, you are frustrated in a legitimately frustrating situation. So stick to the facts. What space do I have to devote to clothing? And then let everything, whether you keep it or not, be defined by that. Maybe that means that this size, that is the size that you're like, yes, realistically after the surgery or whatever it is you're going to go through, that size is realistically where I'm going to be. Maybe you decide, I'm going to wear 3 things right now in this size that I know for sure is temporary according to, the health crisis that you're in or whatever. I'm going to wear 3 things right now so that I can keep the majority of my wardrobe for the size that I know I'm going to be in. A lot of people though, are like, okay, I don't actually, when I think of it that way, I actually am like not totally convinced I'm going to be back to that size. And so I actually need to keep the stuff that I really do need for right now. And then that means I have less space to devote to, the stuff for the future or the possibilities, whatever. So let that container, this is the container concept. Let the container make the hard decisions. The key word being here, hard decisions. I mean, like, these are not easy decisions. So I want to validate that for you and rest in the fact that the container concept is real. Space is finite. It does not grow. And so if I want my house to be under control, if I want my bedroom to not be completely taken over in clothes, I have to embrace the reality of the space that I have to devote to clothes that does not bleed into space that I need for other things. Okay. All right. There we go. Now I'm going to take questions from y'all. Okay. Here we go. I am looking for questions from, okay, so I love this. Your container concept blew my mind. It has helped make the hard decisions in decluttering in a large walk-in closet in my new house. I love clothes. Thank you. Yes. The container makes the hard decisions. That is what's so beautiful about this. Okay, here we go. How do I declutter my bedroom when I don't have a lot of energy? How do I begin? Where do I begin? Okay, so I think the theme of today's live is follow the process. Follow the process, especially when you're overwhelmed, especially when you have certain unique circumstances or excessively difficult circumstances. Follow the process. Okay, so the beauty of the 5-step process, which you can get, let's see here. If you go to slobcomesclean.com/5, F-I-V-E, it's right there. You can get a copy of that. Okay. But, oh, wait. Bedroom question. Here we go. When I don't have a lot of energy, the beauty of the process is that it is designed for exactly your situation. Okay. It is designed for you to be able to work in the moments when you have energy and for you to be able to stop the minute that your energy is gone. Okay. Or the minute that you feel like, if I don't stop right now, I'm not going to have the energy to, feed my kids or whatever. Okay. So it is progress and only progress. That is the beauty of the 5-step process. You are never going to put yourself in a situation where you have to do something else before you can stop, or where you, when you have to stop, have made a worse situation than you had before you started. Okay. So how do you declutter your bedroom when you don't have a lot of energy? How do you begin? You start with trash. Even if you are convinced that there is no trash, even if there is no trash, you start with trash. You get a black trash bag. It needs to be black so you don't see what you just put inside of it and second guess yourself, or so the people in your house don't see what you put inside of it and second guess you. And just start looking for trash. What that does, there is no emotional energy being spent here, because a lot of times with decluttering, it's the emotional energy that drains you and zaps you so fast. Okay. And combining that with physical energy issues becomes a real problem. Okay. So you are not expending any emotional energy when you're looking for trash. You are identifying, not deciding, but identifying trash. When you're doing that, even if there is no trash, you're starting to look at individual items, which helps your brain start to adjust to what's actually here and gets you ready for the next steps. Then go with the easy stuff, meaning the stuff that has an established home somewhere else in the house, but for whatever reason, it's not there and it's instead in your bedroom right now. And say, that's all you're looking for. I am not sorting into piles. I am not moving things around. I am literally picking up something that, oh, wait, why is this in here? It belongs somewhere else. And then I'm taking it there because even though, yes, I'm taking it there, which is expending energy, that item is done. It's over. It's done. This bedroom is better than it was before, right? Like it's better. And that is the thing that then is going to increase your emotional energy, which often has a positive effect on your physical energy as well, right? Okay. So you do that, and then you go with donations, which is like obvious. This needs to go. I'm sticking it straight in the donate box. Just those first 3 steps will significantly improve a space and will change your perspective on that space. And you haven't expended any emotional energy yet. And therefore, it often helps your physical energy to last a little bit longer. Okay. So like that right there is how you begin. And then you start with the next, with the other steps in the process. But that you're asking, how do you begin? Where do you begin? You start with that. Start with stuff on the surfaces. Don't start with stuff in the drawers. Make visible progress first. And every bit of visible progress that is unbacktrackable, because this is a progress and only progress method that you can step away from at any point or stop at any point. You've only made progress. Doing that is going to, it's going to perpetuate that energy, meaning you stopped. Oh, wow, this space is better. Every time you go into your bedroom, you're going to be like, this looks so much better. Okay. That in and of itself will help you be ready to declutter again sooner and inspire you to declutter again sooner. Okay. Questions? Okay. I don't know if this is a question or not, but it looked interesting, so I'm going to read it. I don't have a lot of time to think ahead and decide what I'm going to read. I'm a flight attendant and live half the week as a nomad. I hate having to have everything, but I hate repacking my roll aboard more. I will say it's easier for me to get rid of excess clothing. You may be answering someone else's question. I just that's probably a necessary evil, right? Like I've actually been thinking about this lately. It's like there are certain things, especially when I was traveling and stuff, and I traveled a couple times in a short period of time, which is nothing compared to what you do. But I'm just saying, like, sometimes it's that, yeah, like this is my container for travel. And it's also my clutter threshold for me to not have to think through every single time, right? I mean, I feel like that's what's here. I don't think that was a question, but anyway. Dana, my friend's husband just heard he has stage 4 cancer. I'm assuming you meant to say cancer. That's awful. I'm sorry. I asked what she needed. She said, I need someone to tidy my house, but I would never ask for that. Oh goodness. Let's see. Seeing if there's more here. Anyway, I wish there was more of this that I could see. So, yeah, I mean, I think this is a beautiful thing for you to do, and follow the process. Follow the process so that you do not leave her in a situation that is, where she's stuck and has more things to do. I do want to make sure y'all know too that I have declutteringcoaches.com. I know somebody had asked on one of the recent ones, how do I become a coach? Go to declutteringcoaches.com. That is my website. And everyone who is listed there as a coach is trained by me and certified by me. So, or if you're interested in becoming a certified decluttering coach in my method, go there. Okay. All right. Question. How can I deal with what is worth keeping and what is not if hubby has a different mind? Have a quilt for my granny that is only memorabilia. Hubby will trash it. I will use it on my bed. Okay. So don't start with the quilt. Okay. A lot of times when there is a lot of stuff, it can your brain immediately goes to, I need to make this hard decision about this quilt that is damaged. And so other people see it as trash. And yet I know the sentimental stuff, blah, blah, blah. Don't start with that. Like, start with other stuff. Start with your own trash, like actual trash. So, because what it's going to do is it's going to build some credibility, okay, in this relationship. And because you're going to immediately make visible progress, right? And then keep on going with your own stuff. And that will start to change, especially in visible spaces. Do this in visible spaces. That's going to start to change some of this. But it's like, it feels like, especially, it happens to a lot of people individually, but also often happens to people living together, who one person's like, you need to declutter. And the other person's like, are you kidding? You need to declutter too. Well, you need to declutter that and you need to declutter that. So go ahead and start working on your own stuff, and that will start to change some of that. Okay. Ellen, question, how do I make sure I don't waste perishable food? I have a problem overbuying at the grocery store. Then the avocados, tomatoes, and even onions and potatoes have to be thrown away. Number one thing is meal planning. Even if it is simply writing down on the back of an envelope on the way to the grocery store or in the parking lot before you go in, what your meals for the week are going to be. That is the number one thing. So it doesn't have to be super detailed unless you want it to be, but it can be like, I'm going to have tacos, spaghetti, chicken stir fry, and whatever. And so I'm going to go into the store, because my problem is I think this is a creativity thing. Okay. I have a creative brain. Most people who struggle with clutter also have very creative personalities. And so you go in and you're thinking of all the possibilities. Oh, well, avocados are good. I use those in a lot of things. Onions, got to use onions in pretty much everything. I don't, but most people do. Tomatoes. Oh yeah, got to have tomatoes. Oh, potatoes last forever, blah, blah. And so I start gathering. And then I'm overwhelmed in my home because I have more stuff than I need. And maybe I didn't actually get the thing that I needed to make the things that I would eat with avocados. And so then those, so that kind of thing. So meal planning is number one on that. Okay. How do I do laundry day when I live in the UK and don't have a dryer and not many days to hang washing outside? I have to dry washing inside with limited space to hang clothes to dry. Okay. So I don't live in this situation. So I just want to be sure I'm, clear about that this is not my situation. But I do know, if you will go look at my laundry day video, look at the comments, because there are those saying, but I don't have a dryer, so how could this work? But there are also a lot of people saying, I took the concept and made it work for me, even though I don't have a dryer. Okay. So go look and see if you can learn from some of that. So here's the thing about laundry day. It is about having a process that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So a lot of people who use the concept of laundry day actually take 2 to 3 days to do it. Okay. But it's much more about gathering up a week's worth of clothing, which you have no idea what that is if you're behind on laundry. Okay. So that's why it's so hard in the beginning. It might be an issue of you going to a laundromat if that's a, possibility in the UK with dryers or something, but like catching up that way and then saying, I'm going to do a week's worth of clothing and I am going to treat it like a project and get as much done as I can get done in my actual situation with no dryer. I'm going to do that. And maybe you'll find that, okay, when I treat it that way, it's 3 days and it's a routine that works for me. And wow, I love, having 4 days of no laundry. Or maybe you realize it is a matter of doing one load every single day. And so that you can have it drying just in this one space that's not, all over the entire house or whatever. But it's it's really about the routine and but I would go look on the comments on that. So let's see. Comments on the laundry day video and from people who are in your specific situation. I've decluttered so much stuff, but I don't feel like I've reached my clutter threshold. I can't seem to get over a fear of appearing weird to my husband and friends if I keep going. Any advice? I'm only laughing because I get it, right? Yeah, I mean, I do think you might need to say, okay, I might need to chill a little bit, like maybe, okay, like, and I'm saying this specifically about, your husband. If it's making him nervous and you're saying that because I have gotten rid of so much, but I'm going more, maybe you do need to say, I'm going to take a break for a month, and I'm going to, say, okay, I'm going to live with it and see, is my obsession with decluttering, or have I reached where I needed to reach? You know what I mean? So like if it's just I'm constantly getting rid of things, but give yourself a little bit of time, because this is a lifelong thing, right? And say, I am going to live with it for a while, and then decide, is there something else? But again, make sure that you're working on your own stuff. If you're going to the extreme, that it's you personally who are going to the extreme, and not, the family members as well. Okay. I'm on day 7 of doing dishes every day, no matter what. Thank you, Dana. That's your book is awesome. Thank you. Somebody had asked up here about which, here's another one. Setting a goal. Is it a good thing to do when decluttering? If it works for you, that's fine. I personally like the progress and only progress method, my 5-step process that you can find in Decluttering at the Speed of Life. I always get so mixed up. Yeah, there it is right there. Because the goal setting didn't really work that great for me. Okay. As far as like big plans, big ideas, I'm going to do this by this time. Then I would get overwhelmed. But instead it was like, okay, I am just going to work for as long as I can work. I'm work for 5 minutes, 5 hours, whatever I've got. I'm going to do it using the 5-step process, which means I never create a bigger mess, which means I can work for any amount of time and guarantee progress. Okay. So anyway, let's see. Somebody asked the question. If anybody's going to ask about my books, I'm always wanting to answer that, right? Okay. Oh, here we go. Here it is, right? See, this is proof that y'all really did ask, and it's not me going, well, everybody's been asking about my books. Let me tell you about them. Like influencers are known to do. I'm not an influencer. What are your books on decluttering? When do I decide what I have is what I actually need to store? Okay, so I'm going to tell you. Here's my book on how to manage your home without losing your mind. This one is if you're completely overwhelmed, dishes, laundry, decluttering, everything, your whole house is like, why is this so hard? That's the one you need. Okay. Just so you know, those plates were not there when I took that picture. They added those in later. Okay. And then this is my decluttering book. Okay. Don't love the font anymore, but whatever. This is my book about decluttering. How do you decide when what you have is what you actually need to store? Read the book. Because I mean, here's the thing. That's not the first step. Like that's kind of way down the process. Like there's so much involved when you're looking at the overall and you're like, what am I going to keep? What am I not going to keep? Instead, follow the process. And this has the 5-step process in excruciating detail, right? That's a bad way to say it, but it is like this is the 5-step process, completely explained, all the mindset changes you need to make to declutter, and then also that 5-step process applied to all the different areas of your home and the different relationships in your life, right? Okay. Here's a good one. After 1 hour of decluttering, I have a headache for all the decisions I had to make. Any recommendations? Spend 20 to 30 minutes to declutter then. Is it decision fatigue? You think? Yes, it is decision fatigue. My recommendation is to follow my process. I know, right? That is the theme of today, right? It's follow the process, because you will make progress, visible, measurable progress. Take your before picture so you'll be able to prove it to yourself. Visible, measurable progress before you ever make a single decision. There are no decisions in the first 3 steps. If you're feeling like you're having, I gotta decide, is this trash? Then skip that and go to stuff that's obvious trash. Easy stuff is stuff that you're not deciding where it goes. It just, oh, well, I already know where it goes. I'm going to go ahead and take it there now. Okay. Donations are the things you don't need to make a decision about. It just needs to go straight in the donate box. Follow that process, which then helps you go, I have made so much, I can do this before you ever get to the decision makings. That's why the process, the 5-step process is designed the way it is. Y'all, we have, 501, y'all. I'm so excited. Here we are, about to be done. And finally, 500 people are here. There's usually around 500 people here, and it's been a little under 500 this whole time. So I'm happy that you're here. Although I'm sorry to those of you who are just joining and I'm about to be done, but you can watch the replay. Okay. Here we go. Oh, I love this. See, also with limited time at home each week, progress and only progress is critical in order for me to not get a short call out and then leave a huge mess for my family. It's very helpful. Yes, I'm telling you what, the progress and only progress is huge, huge. Okay, let's see. Thanks for the book recommendations. I always start to declutter but never finish. The way that we do it means that your house is better just by starting, because every single action that you take is going to make your house better. All right. Let's see. Thank you. I think you meant Dana, but I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. Yay, your late appearance made me very happy, so that I finally did. And my dog has just decided that we've been here long enough. She's done. She's coming over and nudging me with her nose. Let's see. Anywhere. Sometimes I feel like there's 2 questions and I'm not for sure. Lounge, office, etc. I have those dreaded piles. How do I designate and organize my new space? Some things haven't even been opened. Follow the process. Y'all, I know some of you are thinking, that's why we just had 6 people leave and I'm down to 495. Anyway, some of you are like, are you kidding? She's going to say that again. I am just telling you it works. Follow the process on the individual pile. Follow the process on the whole room. Go with that, because with the process, every single thing is going to its final home, which is the trash bag, the donate bill donate box, the already established home, or the newly established home, according to the 2 decluttering questions. And then as you put it in the place where you would look for it first, instead of coming up with a great place to put it, you decide where it's going to go according to, or you learn where it's going to go according to where you would look for it first. Even if it's something new in your house, it's like, well, where would I look for this first? There, and then you take it there now and you embrace the reality of that space. And that is how we actually get this stuff, done. Let's see. Is it possible to view this broadcast again later? You're at work and can't catch everything. Absolutely. It is always, these automatically stay on my channel. Okay. If you are going to youtube.com/aslobcomesclean or whatever it is, I don't even know, but I know you can get there through that way. If you go there and you're like, I'm not finding your live videos, there is a tab at the top. So the live videos, what this is not usually like front and center there on my channel, but there'll be a tab up at the top that you can click that says live. And that's where all of these are, these Q&As. So, all right. I think that is it. Let's see. Go through the Take Your House Back and join my team. You can coach online, at home, or away. Yay. Yes. And you don't have to do Take Your House Back to be one of my coaches at all. But yeah, you can be one of my coaches, learn how to do that. If you're already a professional organizer and you're like, I want to understand my clients better and find a way that works, with the most difficult clients, it's my stuff. So you can go do that and add it to it. Let's see. Thank you for teaching me. My house doesn't deserve to be everyone else's dumping ground, and dealing with clutter is stealing my time. Yes, absolutely. Okay. It is a process and it does work. It does. I mean, I'm just telling you, it really, really does. Okay. So somebody has said, yes, you can go to home, videos, shorts, which I have 1 whole short, I think, and then live tabs. So, all right. That's if you're wanting to go and watch these videos later. Okay. I will talk to y'all later. And oh, and don't forget to, I know I'm just going to advertise this real quick, but don't forget to, if you want to have these conversations with other people who speak this language about decluttering, the no mess process, the follow the process, blah, blah, blah. If you want to have a place where you can be like, this is my situation. Here's how I'm trying to apply this. I need people who are also following the same process instead of just random decluttering thoughts from the world. A safe place for that is my Patreon community. So I just highly recommend that you check into that if you're interested in that. It's a lovely, lovely group of people. So, all right. I will talk to y'all later. Bye.